Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, all right, Nitya.
Um, so you mentioned, like we discussed that when we say I feel sad or I feel depressed, etc., there is the creature is not feeling depressed,
Definitely not. Feeling depressed, yes. I
but
know what you are about to ask me. But there is some kind of a commotion, some kind of a sensation coming from the body, right?
yeah, I'm just wondering about these antidepressants and all sort of medications that.
When you say you are depressed, there is definitely some kind of a sensation somewhere around the chest abdomen region, yes. That
Mhm.
is true because there are certain data taken by the system, all right?
Mhm.
Let us say somebody insulted you, or a husband insulted you, or a child insulted you, or a friend insulted you, let us say so. Let us say by a dialogue, okay?
Mm.
And that dialogue has made an impression, mental impression. Everything is a mental impression. Mental impression. What is a mental impression? It is a neuronal process, Nitya. As we explained, that neuronal process happens in the cerebral cortex in comprehending a language. I mean, a violent language. And neurons cannot act. Neurons are nothing but switching centers, like the CPU, like the vertical processor in your computer. And that neuronal excitation goes down the spinal cord, and it triggers the ganglions or neuronal assemblages in the spinal cord, I mean the autonomic nervous system. I explained to you, showing the diagram, autonomic nervous system has two divisions. The named sympathetic and the parasympathetic division. That is the division A and division B. Division A will induce, let us say, excitatory impulses, let us say positive impulses. Division B will give negative impulses or inhibitory impulses. In normal times of the body, there is a balance between the number of impulses. There's a ratio maintained with a tolerance level, let us say, between, let's say, certain number. Okay, all right. And when that is beyond that, it is definitely felt as something in the chest region, something in the abdominal region, something in the respiration region. So that will be linkaged with this depression, with something which is affecting the way you look. Like somebody else can say, "Ayo, why Nitya, you look depressed?" Somebody can notice your smile is a little congested. You don't smile. Your face muscles, which are very much innervated with a lot of nerve fibers, it will show something. Yeah, definitely there is an organic consequence for depression, no doubt. Therefore, if a chemical is ingested, it will work on the cellular system, and that impulse generation will be cut.
Okay.
Then you feel okay. Or let us say in common parlance, you take one peg or two peg of liquor, because of the chemical properties, it will trigger other parts of the brain, and you become insensitive or you do not feel that much. So there is an organic correlate. Yeah, definitely yes. That's why yoga and pranayama are important. That's why, as I told you, upavas or giving minimum food to the body is important. Yeah, of course. There's a definite role of the body. Yes, definitely. Yes. But that happens like this only. As I told you, the little child, let us say, the little child has broken your precious cup, 1 year old baby. Let us say some mother. That mother will not ask the child, "Oh, my dear child, why did you break that cup?" Because the child does not understand. So there is an instant reaction. Oh, you broke the blah, blah. There's a lot of sound and fury. Because that only will work with the little baby.
Yes.
So till the age of 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, depending upon the kind of acts or events initiated by the child, there will be strong expressions and responses and behaviors and even actions and on the part of the very parents, and even curtailing relationships. You are not my child. I will not talk to you. Don't come to me. Go away. So, along with the language, so all the five components act in unison to a little baby, little child. There is a strong expressions on the face. There is strong responses with like a body posture of the mother. Then there is continued behaviors which the mother may tuck may vanish from that place or behave maybe something, and then there may be action sometimes like giving a beat to the child or making some other noise. Then the relationship may be affected for 1 or 2 days. The mother may not be that comfortable. Then there is extra language. So all these are given till the child shows evidence that it got affected. In the point, like in a normal situation in tawadi bars or what you call what you call liquor joints, if someone talks a nonsense, nobody will retaliate because they know that this boy, there's no use talking back to him. I said it in a paradoxical metaphor. If the child does not understand, then what is the point? So the mother or father or the other people will go on expressing or responding or acting to such an extent that there's clear evidence on the part of child's response that the child got punished or affected. The child should cry, or the expression of guilt or whatever we name as guilt or resentment should appear on the face of the child. Till then, the parent will continue. That's how these violent languages, violent behaviors, violent expressions get linkaged with the mental impressions, which will be reinforced there. And in future situations, the same circuit will be like classical conditioning.
Repetition.
Dog salivating on the bell sound. So by the bell sound of somebody else's dialogue, the system starts salivating. The dog salivates at the bell sound, Nitya.
Yes.
No food is anywhere near.
Yeah.
That's how that simple Pavlovian experiment, Ivan Petrovich Pavlov, a very simple experiment of conditioning dogs. It has been able to explain a great lot of human behaviors. Yeah, most of the human beings are dog conditioned like this to feel. All the emotions are gone haywire by this training from parents and from the environment. And further information by the films and by the various stories told by the other people. That is right. Any other question? Yeah.
Yes.
Now it is over. Now you say what you have understood from Veena's presentation, especially about creativity therapy. Other things are her learning. Handwriting analysis, I Ching, and other concepts which she has mentioned in the other parts of the PPT, they're all her learning. But this is almost uh, her presentation, I mean, new perspective, which she explained. So, what is the you explained in? Come on.
Vinaji, firstly, you've made creativity therapy sound so simple. I know it's just the tip of the iceberg, and that uh, I think the biggest strength for you is that you're able to simplify things. I feel I always overcomplicate things, maybe use unnecessary language or layering. And I think this level of simplicity to present a thought or a concept is is the biggest I think takeaway here, or that's what I really love about it. And
Wait a minute, Tintin. I was giving instruction to Mandra to cook dinner. Come on, once again.
I was saying that being able to present something very original, so maybe innovative or even unique, a gem, the creative therapy in such a simple manner, in such an unassuming manner, is it's amazing. I don't think I can ever come close to this with a conscious thought. It has to come from
Of course, that itself was a creative act.
I think it has to come from within. As pure the thought connected to the simplest language, not overcomplicating it. Secondly,
Had I talked, it would have been overcomplicating.
Secondly, there are so many concepts, so many things you've applied here. I mean, like when you go from the tip of the iceberg, you're talking about referent reality, about linkage analysis, about going into the unseen. So we, with all these sessions so far, able to get a slight glimpse of some of the tools and methodologies and skill sets you used here. And I think, like Sir getting a collective of handwriting analysis, while some of us are still struggling with how the dots are placed, how the language slants from the left to right, the pressure, or even crossing of the T's, the curves, the clefts, etc. You've been able to combine everything in. So I think maybe we need to see the master at work to really appreciate what's going on. We only have the evidences of the successful closures. And you're also very confident in talking about how you've gone through situations. Like you're tutoring people when you have a fear of a certain thing. It's like, I'm afraid of a ghost and I'm going to the graveyard to rescue people from the ghosts, maybe to take a synonym or a story.
That aspect I would like to interview. Veena, that is not to be considered as a major issue. Okay, a coach need not be the greatest player. Okay, so you can smoke cigarettes and instruct other people don't do that. It is their choice not to do it. That's all. Okay, you are telling a good thing. Of course, I do that bad. Okay, I am okay with it. You should not smoke. You can tell them. So that is just a joke I made. What I mean to say is very seriously, a coach is definitely a genius, but a coach is never the greatest player. Okay, so this is not to justify that you should continue to entertain that fear of whatever that we have resolved. All right, Tintin, please continue.
Yeah. Another wonder what I have is that you are really privileged, lucky that you have both your daughters here also in the same sessions, being able to understand what you're working on, resonating with the methodologies. And I think that that's something which is very lovely.
Oh, that is of course an extraordinary coincidence.
Yes.
Right.
That's very beautiful. I'm happy about that very much. I think many of us would really love to have that. And however it happened, be it design or choice or chance, it's beautiful.
It is all combined together.
That's all for now, sir.
Anyway, very beautiful answer, which is a fact also. Because everything has minimum 3 linkages. There cannot be a variant without a minimum 3 linkages. And everything is a variant. We have been talking about object variants. We have to talk about situation variants, event variants, context variants, process variants, setting variants, doer variants, doing variants, being variants. Everything is a variant. And no variant can exist without minimum 3 linkages. Not a doubt about that.
Sir, may I, sir?
Yeah, yes, Ramesh.
Yeah. So today's session we started off with power. So with Veenaji's presentation, I always keep admiring Veenaji's. So even though she's not there in most of the sessions, whenever she's there, I always feel that Tejas, the glow, the radiance. So the power within her shows outer. So the inner power is also radiating outer. I felt it, and I was waiting for Veenaji to make a presentation, and today the presentation that she made was really I learned a lot. So I would want to summarize some of the learnings which I learned in today's session. So the first one is
wait, a beautiful observation, a very creative observation, which I have been always telling her. But now you have another person telling that. Okay, Veena?
Yes, sir. Yes. I cannot say that more, but
Uh,
others who says
you
I
cannot
can.
see that because that, as I told you, a system cannot identify itself. That's why you need a mentor. That's why you need a trainer. That's why you need a guru. The I, which I told some time back, that so-called I is not at all an integral part of you. That's why that I can sense every entire universe of whatever you are experiencing. Get the point? All right.
Yeah. So again, we start off with that power. That power, that maturity is shown out by humbleness. So in each of Veenaji's presentation, that humbleness, rooted, that calm, love, all those are the ones which are coming up more, where we started the session with that the more mature samurai gets, the more humble he goes on. So that is one inherent quality that I am seeing in today's presentation. I always keep admiring in each of the statements that she keeps making. So I just want to connect it with our starting of the session.
That's a beautiful linkage.
Yeah. So the next one is being original and being truthful. So from that perspective, in terms of being original, I always felt that I need to know more, then I need to do. So, but in the last few sessions, that knowing, being, doing, the more you know, the more you can contribute to doing was my perspective, which was there earlier. But after such sessions and so on, it's completely changed. So the doing, when you are in your act of doing, whatever is required for the doing, when you get your knowing during your doing, your contributions to that particular context is much more. And I see today's Veenaji's on the creative therapy. So the knowing, even though it's psychology, all the thing is knowing. Without knowing, when she is got into the act of doing, with guidance from Sir, she was able to contribute and make a difference. So that knowing, being, doing, knowing becomes more powerful when the doing is in its best. So it's not knowing and doing, it is first doing, then based on doing, when you get your knowing aligned, the output is much more, is that I've been contemplating for a bit, but today's again the session showcase that when you're into doing, get your knowing in aligned with your doing, and your output is much more. And that is again one more truthful evidence which I'm seeing today as a living example.
At this point, I want to say this I have told even before, that all the knowings have been generated by people who had that completeness in their doing and in their being. The origin of knowing, whether it is chemistry or physics or engineering or philosophies or whatsoever, they all happened out of the doing of the being. So that was precisely identified here very correctly by Ramesh. Yes.
Ramesh,
Yeah.
I too had all these emotional disturbances, anxiety, fear, mental block, all those things were high. I was so I have to manage myself first. That is why probably I think I'm able to empathize with the people who come to me, or I can connect to them easily, because I have gone through all these things. I have done all the mental block exercises, all the things. I applied directly to myself first.
That reminds me to tell you or remind you another thing. Why I make you undergo all these complex reflections and conceptualizations and other experiences precisely for that. You should, nothing else that you come across in your life should be more challenging than these sessions. So when you resolve the puzzles in these sessions, He will become complete, or he will become genius himself. Yes, Ramesh, continue.
Yeah. So the next, I always wanted to open out the topic of concept of death in some of the sessions. So, but today Vinaji again opened out the topic of fear of death, and for me, more than fear of death, that fear of future has always been there, which I also talked in one of my sessions. That fear of future, I'm trying to overcome that. So death has not been my purview, but I've been thinking about death a lot. And today's session, we had a elaborate discussion on death. That again, that's one of the a good insights in terms of a physical entity and a mental entity, and both the sir gave excellent explanation on a flame. It is there and it is not there, a gateless gate. So that is one learning in today's session. And the third one is that so. So that somewhere in the first slide itself that caught my attention, and I was really very curious in the complete session. What that is that so, not being affected. So that again, I'm really very delighted to know this particular concept of not being affected. So whatever be the surrounding, you as a being is not being affected. So that again is reflecting in Veenaji, that whatever be the surrounding, whatever other person says or whatever other, that the being which is more calm, the more powerful being, the more humble the being, the more loveful the being, nothing is affecting. So you do what you are entitled to do. So that's again one big learning today. Yeah, yeah. But thank you, Vinaji, because that is that so, not being affected. It's again a very powerful context which I'm beginning to start to think, and multiple of imageries are coming into my mind whenever I'm starting to reflect in the last half an hour, 1 hour session that we have been discussing. Multiple imageries is coming into my mind. But thanks for bringing that point, and thanks for this enlightening session, Vinaji.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you.
All right.
Hi.
Okay. Anirudh, would you like to say something?
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me to this wonderful session, sir. Swami, thank you.
Okay. Okay. You're welcome.
May I start with congratulating Veena ji on behalf of that girl whom she cured of learning disorder, and that boy who did not have any disorder, but your statement of purpose was
So this
wonderful.
about his training, sir.
Veena ji, your
Yeah.
statement of purpose has brought out truths about the real entity not being afraid of anything because it's never going to die, it was never born. It brought out the very Gita, the Quran, the Bible, just one SOP of yours, statement of purpose, fear of death, has enlightened all of us, I'm sure, with Sir contributing to clear your mind of the fear of death. And I'm sure you are free from it already. I have learned so much in this session that I could almost continue forever, but I'll try to reduce my words coming to your managing myself uh, and the parable that you are a handwriting expert and sir says you are 100% when he is 60%. I mean, this is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Do not take anything for granted, is what I have written. Probably Sir said this or you spoke this. Only innocent mind can truly love. And the definitions on love was awesome. And of course, Mandukya Upanishad, Sir quoted and you quoted actually. Completeness is the source of creation. Thank you very much. I have so much to speak on this because I'm almost crying while saying all this. Uh, Thank you. Thank you once again. And
Thank you.
Swami, thank you for uh,
Thank you.
allowing me to attend this session. Thank you.
Yes, Nitya.
Hey, Vinaji. First of all, I'm really amazed by your story because we heard about it many times, but this is the first time that we are hearing about your original creative therapy. And what I can say is you have actually originalized all the ideas that you came across, especially in the GCF sessions. So when you're talking about you had that authenticity because you have tested those ideas in your life and with the people who came for help from you. And one thing I was really I can't use the word wonder. I don't know what word I can use. You're very innocent, like a very childlike wonder you always have. So, for instance, when you're asking questions to the patients, if I call them clients or patients, um, without that innocence, like for instance, you said, "I don't know what to say. I don't know, what they're going through," or something like that. Many people are not comfortable with that I don't know also because for me if I come across some situations which you described, I'll be feeling very stressed and I'll be feeling what how can I find an answer, and I will probably agonize about the thought of I don't know, like it kind of stresses me. um, so
But that Nitya made to him. So everything was a learning session only. So I applied. Only thing is I try to apply what sir said in whatever possible way. Still, there are a lot more to do. There's a lot more to do.
but you have almost mastered it. And you mentioned about the fear of death and the fear of unknown. I mean, to me, it seems um, to know somebody else's mind, what they are not talking or what they are talking, and get through all those details, which itself is a very tedious and a very fearful task. And how would you know whether how can you gain the confidence whether exactly that is the problem it is bothering them, or what is the cause of that problem? That needs kind of courage and confidence in self. Like sir said, that martial art person, the gentleness that comes from knowing oneself and their strengths, that is what you are demonstrating in the sessions, I think, because you are very gentle, you are asking questions without any bias and all those things. um, I don't know how to describe that. It is like I was just trying to imagine, like when people come, how you're asking questions with no bias, and even that father situation you mentioned. It's not at all easy, and if you have done all that thing, I don't know what else to say. Really, really amazing.
You whatever they say, I'm not thinking about myself at all.
So you
I
have
just
already achieved that is that so state.
with respect to certain things, not all the things. But with respect to therapy, I'm not worried, whether I'll be able to do it properly or what will they say and all those things. I just face it, and now I have understood the referent or the referent reality or the variance and invariance, all those things we apply directly to whatever they are asking. So it just happens. Now
Beautiful.
I am not in the picture at all. I mean that I-ness, like I have to do it, or whether they will like me, or whether I will succeed. All those things were there initially. All those fears were there. Now it is not there at all. So then it works, I think.
When
Truly
you are
wonderful.
when you are in that state, your original mind is functioning. In that context, at least, that's all.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you for the session, Veena ji.
Thank
So it
you.
was really enlightening for all of us.
Thank you, Nitya.
Veena, that was a wonderful, and I got a very good understanding about creative therapy. And all throughout, I
Creativity
was,
therapy. It is creativity therapy.
sorry, creativity therapy.
Yes.
Yeah, so all through I was, seeing the reference of you, being a chemistry graduate to a therapist like this, right? So that images were crossing my mind. And then it is very wonderful that you being able to extract all the linkages and reference of that person who is coming to you, and that shows the power of questions that you may be asking and framing, like a at a Socratic level maybe. So, wonderful. Uh, and yeah, handwriting analysis also needs a lot of linkage analysis. So, all these analysis would require that right questions occurring to your mind. So, great that you are at that level, and thanks for sharing your journey.
Thank you, Parvati. Thank you.
Today's session has been an education for me,
Thank you.
and it's something I've been really waiting for. Last session, when Master introduced us to the concept of variant and invariant and linkage network analysis, and we spoke about orbits. Since that session, I've been thinking about practical implications of this. How do I use an example to understand it? How do I internalize that understanding? And I keep thinking about these things a lot. Today in your session was a revelation of that. And your examples were so good as to how you explained the deployment of these concepts into a real life, a real time therapy. I'm sure you remember that I've always been very curious about your creativity therapy,
Yes.
which I've heard from Master that you're excellent at. So there was never any doubt about your capabilities. I've heard so many success stories, cases where you've changed people's lives, and that has been so inspirational. And I admire you so much for that, because you are changing people's lives. It's not like my. So I don't know if you understand the enormity and speciality of what you're doing.
Exactly, Minashi. In other therapies, the so-called, even if it functions, cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy, psychoanalytic psychotherapy, that illness is somehow managed most of the time, may not be managed. And that
Yeah,
person goes back.
yeah,
Here, that person goes back as an evolved, different individual.
exactly. So now
And,
when I think of
throughout life, it is going to work in that person.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was thinking about, as you were presenting, and I was thinking about that girl and the boy. I was thinking about how their orbits have changed and where they are today, because you pushed them to a place where they could actualize themselves. And oh my God, that's really inspiring. It's really inspiring. So my curiosity of understanding, trying to understand what is creativity therapy, now I understand the referent of it.
Yeah.
And I really envy you now, because you have a context to try it out. with your clients, I must find something like that for myself. And I feel really lucky that several of my questions have been answered today, and I feel I understand it so much better, which only you could do because you have done it n number of times.
Oh, thank you.
So, but there's one more point which I wanted to mention, and this I must say, because over the years, as you may know, my association with Master has been for several years. And I am what I am today, on account of his guidance. For me to see another example bloom is very reassuring and kind of reaffirming for me about how lucky I have been. So I see that kindred soul in you. And I too am very, very positive about the kind of trajectories I will cross in the future. So that gives me, that reaffirms my belief in what is possible for me too. And you're proof of that.
You are aiming at something really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We are very different trajectories, but it is so inspiring to see somebody else who's done so much and take strength from that and be at a very happy place when I see you, because we all, both of us, go back to the same source, and that's what I want to emphasize here.
Yeah.
That we both have been extremely lucky to be with Master for so long and be guided by him and have
Absolutely.
benefited from his benevolence of teaching us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Wish you lots of more impactful work. And I wish all the people who need help that they find you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Veena.
Well, going by all these observations already made, what I can add is that although Binaji came last in presentation to some extent, but she emerges first so far as the manifestation of geniusness, genius in itself is concerned. She has brilliantly evidenced all the geniusness in herself through her creativity therapy, or many other things such as mastery in handwriting analysis. Not only that, your
And I
presentation,
think also.
Ching, yeah, so many things. She is manifestation of that, and her presentation has evoked many important concepts into discussions, such as fear of death, a referent of love, or referent of completeness, etc. And what I want to add is that her creativity therapy is really very creative, because as we all know that American Psychiatric Association (APA) has they have almost categorized every mental disease, every mental illnesses into, and they revised it through her diagnostic statistical manuals as DSM 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And just they are more concerned in prescribing medicines only. And as we all know that brain does not consist or contains the mind. But when it does not contain the mind, then why the mental illnesses or mental patients are prescribed so much chemical or medicines? But anyway, it is their limitations, and you are really very creative, and that way simply brilliant, and you are truly an evidence of this group and first manifestation of genius himself. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Naveen.
Wonderful, precise, and brilliantly worded comment and review, Naveen.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Even though I was very much discussing these things with her, and I have discussed in the past also, but every time I listen to the cases and all the details of it, I am mesmerized and I wonder every time. It sounds new to me still. And every time she describes a case and the referent and realities of it, I think, okay, now I have understood it. But the next time I realize that there is so much more to wonder about, and then again I realize there is a lot to learn. So as Sir, the most important point that I felt was that uh, about her genuine concern for people, and that is why she, her therapy is so genuine, because um, she is not concerned about what she whether she will find the right answer or anything, but she's genuinely curious to know what the background of what someone says is. And so it's like a case to her, like how Sherlock Holmes solves a puzzle. It's like a puzzle. And so that genuine concern, and how she absolutely does not look at herself when she is uh, doing therapy, or even otherwise on a daily basis, she's never looking at herself. So that is the root of her concern for everybody else. And most importantly, in everything she does, actually she is applying everything that Sir has ever taught. Even from the simplest actions, even when she's cooking, she will relate something immediately. Every sentence has an example and a linkage to whatever she has discussed over the years. So she's continuously being that. So there is no, during the session there's one thing and then afterwards she's another person. She's continuously what Sir has taught. She's a manifestation of that, actually. um, and that's all I have to say. And I have to thank Sir also again. And of course, I'm extremely lucky to have the opportunity to observe live every day. So thank you, Sir, and thanks to her also. And that's all.
I resonate with every single aspect which Ashwati has told. Well, Amma has always been a wonder to me. I never understood how she's coming to all these conclusions. And in fact, each and every case she has narrated today, I've heard them at least 3-4 times in my past. And I've always been trying to understand what is the magic in her statements? How is it that she's coming to this magical? It has always been something very mystical about the end. This whole thing was an end mystery. In fact, as I've been trying to understand the invariant in all this aspect. What is the core thing where is it that she catches on to the secret of the people's problems? How is it that she comes to the conclusion? There's always been something that's been going on. I've reflected on all the cases a number of times. In fact, by hearing to a presentation today has made a lot of difference. Though, as I just told, I have heard everything before. Whatever she said today has made a very different sense to me today. I'm now able to understand, maybe to a large extent, what the referent of what she has been talking about all these years. This has become more evident to me today, I would say. I don't know how that has happened. Every time she narrates a case to me, I just look at it, how is it that uh, how she's coming to the conclusion and everything. But today I understand all this reference of what she's talking about. Each and every aspect of it, I am now able to understand. And I try to copy the same response and apply it to situations that I go through. In fact, even 2 days ago, I did the same thing. So now I understand that I should not be applying the same answer or solution that is applied to one person, should not be just cut, copy, paste to another one person. You have to go and understand the referent of all the exact issues. It is much more evident to me now. As usual, I'm mesmerized by what she's done. And today I have greater hope and a greater confidence that I'll be able to do. I won't say the same things, but something of in those scale and something in those lines. Yeah. Mm. Well, I'm more concerned upon what I will say rather than what the other person is saying. That is, I understand how that will happen.
That's a beautiful point. That's a beautiful point. Exactly. Exactly. You got the crux.
Vinaji, your presentation was awesome. Learning creativity therapy and doing part, surrendering and owning to the experience and align with the purpose with the great passion. That is what I understood. And the presentation was flowing. Uh, with beautiful case studies. I could always connect with those case studies because I was going there, and I was always feeling that how uh, blessed those people are to connect with you, because I had some experiences in my life also, and I'm also going through similar experience in my life. So it is if it is learning disability or any other mental conditions, modern medicine usually just name it, label it, BPAD or BPD, or then they would tell them that the victim, we could say, they that this is not curable, and till the end of your life you have to continue with the medicine. And listen, knowing that itself, then they shut the doors for uh, any cure or any possibilities, so that they can live normally. So they are really blessed to connect with you. And so many things like fear of death was my childhood was horrible because of the religious aspect of fear of death. I had gifted with a book called some Arabic name, Ahwal Qiyamah, and in that everything is explaining. And after reading that book, I was in fourth or fifth standard, I couldn't sleep. And until I somebody explained me that it's like a car, how it is with all the engines and everything is working properly, it would move, or it would serve its purpose, and after that it will just shut down. So death is like that. So I could know only after suffering a lot, because it was my uh, even when I shut my eyes, I was getting that the fire and the grave come and hug us, all those. So this was a beautiful thing that we you discussed it, and that discussion came. Sundarji, you told me that all those things. So it was a blessing for me, because I could at least tell this to my kids and every client who comes to me. And you were owning all the things, so you were acknowledging everything, and you were practicing it passionately. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for this experience today.
Thank you, Meera. Thank you. Because
And because of the response of Ramesh, because of the response of Ashwini, and because of the response and analysis of Meenakshi and Naveen and Anjatha, all of you have got a picture of genius himself also, to a great extent.